Mate, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate. Oh, sorry. See, I've already messed up. Mics. Right, there we go. I think George says about a fist away from your face. So a little bit further, a little bit further up. You can put it up. There you go. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
You can move it around if you want.
Yeah.
We'll try again. John, how you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really glad we got to do this. We touched base, I think maybe a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And I actually just proactively went, can we jump on a call?
Yeah.
I want to connect. I think I saw you were attending or speaking at the Black and Brown show, which is today.
Yep.
Obviously, this is going to go out a little while after that, but
Yep.
the Black and Brown show is in London today, and I saw your name tagged and you were talking, so I just, inquisitive me, popped over, had a little look at your profile and saw that you're a bit of an advocate for male fertility. So before we go into your story, which I want to touch on because you blew my head off in our call, and what you've done with that negative situation and turned it into a positive one is a really important message. But what I want to know before that, what I want to go into is, what does John or Jonathan, I said before, how do you want to be addressed? How did John's life look like before this all started? Like, what was your life like then?
Pretty carefree. Do you know, like, I don't think I had any, like, the usual trying to kind of get a job, 9 to 5 and all that sort of stuff. And, just kind of working towards certain goals. To be fair, I wanted to do acting, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor. So I was working.
Okay.
Well, I was studying, whilst going to classes, whilst working, and that was the main goal. I wanted to be an actor. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. But then obviously, my life changed. The trajectory of my life changed once I fell into this fertility journey.
Yeah.
But that was exactly what I wanted to do.
Wow. So were you doing like in drama school or?
Yeah, I was doing amateur stuff, amateur work. I was doing some stuff at Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Yeah, just really trying to I got myself an agent actually, like a new agency. They were started up and they were looking for actors, and I was like, okay, I'll join. And then they were actually finding me some good stuff, some, a little auditions for commercials and stuff like that. So that was good. And I was like, okay, right. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to go to America. I want to go do that sort of stuff.
Big dreams in the acting world then, right? Okay, cool. You were really serious about that.
Yeah, I was. And then, when I fell into this journey, everything's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just changed completely.
Yeah, and you've changed it into, obviously, we're going to go into it because no one's got any context yet. Although I have, you've turned it into a really positive thing to try and help people, and I think that's what I want to talk about today. Is a lot of people can fall into these really difficult situations, and it can spiral their world into a situation where they become. I don't want to talk about victim mentality, but they almost lean into it and kind of accept that that's just their life.
Absolutely,
you've not done that. And I think that's really powerful. So before we jump into your full story, I actually want to start at the very beginning, which is something that I still don't know about. And I never thought I'd put these words in the same sentence or ask this question to another man. But can you explain the severity of undescended testicles? Because is this something that you've experienced or...
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I believe it was part of your story that you explained. However, I still don't actually know enough about it.
Yeah.
And I've been in this, if you say, fertility world space through our own journey for almost 6 years now. I still don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a topic we could potentially start on because that was the inception of you into this space, right? So yeah, please, could you tell us a little bit more about that and how that works and how it affects fertility for men?
Well, for example, my undescended testicles started when I was obviously like around 11, 12. So my testicles actually didn't drop. A man's testicles or boy's testicles are naturally supposed to drop. Mine didn't.
Okay.
So they had to kind of just I had to get them removed from the groin back into the scrotum.
Through an operation?
Through an operation, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was that.
Yeah,
Okay.
through op. They weren't naturally going to fall down. So they had to kind of, do an operation. And then they had to kind of make sure that there's like a spermatic cord that links from my testicles and into the scrotum.
Okay.
So that little cord is kind of like very thin. So both of them are very, very thin. They're not supposed to kind of be thin. It's supposed to be, I don't know. I forgot what I forgot what the urologist kind of explained to me. But yeah, my ones are really, really thin. And that cord is one that links for the sperm to come out.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of how it affected my fertility, was the fact that, I just didn't know about it for years.
So when you mentioned the age 11,
Yeah.
was it at the age of 11 you got diagnosed?
Yes.
Or did it get sorted? Did you have an operation when you were...
I got sorted at that time.
Okay.
But I didn't actually know that my testicles hadn't dropped.
Okay.
Because it was just by chance. I was playing football. And funny enough, I got hit by a ball.
Yeah.
In the balls.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of found out
Right.
they had the issue. Because I was in so much pain in
Right.
the groin area.
Okay.
And then they were like, why in so much pain? They were feeling everywhere, sticking my stomach. And then they finally just saw that, wow, oh wait, your testicles haven't dropped. Like, how comes? And I'm like, and I've been 11 years old. I'm like, I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, my parents didn't know much about it as well. So when they'd been told this information, they were like, I don't know. They don't know. So
And how old are you now?
I'm 36 now.
So this was, so you're talking 21 years ago. No,
Yeah.
sorry, 25 years
Yeah.
ago. The information we have now on, from a medical standpoint, is obviously much more vast than it was then.
Yeah.
But the understanding of the effect of undescended testicles on fertility, what was the understanding then and what's the understanding now? Is there a massive difference in what we know?
I think there's a lot more research around it now, around undescended testicles. There's still I've been told that it shouldn't have a massive effect on your fertility, but it does have an effect on your fertility.
In what way do you know?
The research is kind of a bit vague in terms of undescended testicles. And, when I saw the urologist, she did say to me, that could be the issue, but we don't know. It could be something else, because my one's non-obstructive. So
What does that mean?
so there's nothing obstructing the sperm from coming out.
Okay.
Yeah. So even with undescended testicles, someone could still have enough sperm, but it could just my one just doesn't come out because the testicles are actually just smaller than the average male anyway.
Okay.
So that's the main issue with my testicles. And also during my journey, I saw that I had like these little when I went for an ultrasound on the testicles, they saw that there was like little like white dots on my testicles, and that could have been through like bacteria, and that's been there for years.
Okay.
And I don't know how many years. Obviously, I don't know. I didn't get no side effects. I didn't get no pain in my testicles. I didn't get no itchiness. I didn't get none of that stuff. So it's like, how long was that bacteria on the testicles for?
Yeah, you have no idea.
Don't know.
There's no way of even figuring that out. It could have been there since you were a child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and also they cannot remove the testicles. If there's little bacteria issues, there's no point in removing it, because it kind of gives me a high chance of getting prostate cancer.
If they remove them, is that just because of manipulation in the area and stuff? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's another thing I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask some silly questions now, because basic on the nose questions. Do you know the stats of men who have undescended testicles? Like how many men on average have this problem?
Not too sure.
No,
I'm not too sure.
Because the reason I ask is because I prefaced this conversation at the start with, I don't even know anything about it.
Yeah.
I understand what it is just from the words.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what sort of rate in terms of how common this was with men. And if it has an effect on male fertility, we should know.
Of course.
And if is there something that can be, obviously it's not a preventative thing, because if you've got them from when you're born, right?
Yeah.
Is there a stat, or is there anything around catching this earlier? And also, can you? Sorry, there's a lot of questions coming at you here, but can the undescended testicles be descended like manually? Or are they just essentially static there?
I wish I could answer these questions.
I'm coming at you hard here.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
That's really good. To go back to your, well, there's a few questions.
Sorry, go on. Go from the start. Yeah, go from the top.
But apparently it's common for guys to have undescended testicles.
Okay.
Even as you get older, some guys can still, have undescended testicles. Doesn't necessarily have to affect you from a child. As an adult, you may get undescended testicles due to lifestyle changes or etc.
Yeah.
But what's it? Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. There was I'm not too sure about the research and the stats around how many guys actually have it or how many guys will go through it. I know for a fact that they've actually changed the way they help young boys.
Okay.
So from before, when I was obviously born, they wouldn't be as thorough in terms of checking, but apparently now they're much more thorough in terms of checking boys for undescended testicles. So after a year of being born, a child now, a boy, they have to go and see a doctor to make sure that the testicles will drop. So I think it's kind of changed now, so which is better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I wish that kind of happened with me as well. But obviously it didn't. And at the time, obviously, medically things have changed.
Oh yeah, I mean a lot. Yeah.
There's, like you're saying, there's the doctors now are doing a lot more to prevent undescended testicles and to prevent all sorts.
Yeah. I don't know what the protocol is. We're similar age. I'm 37.
Yeah.
So you were about what, 90?
1989.
89, same as me.
Yeah.
So when we were born, I don't know what the checks were, but we've been very blessed to have our son about 6-7 months ago. And I remember vividly the next day, because Eleanor stayed in because she had a traumatic birth. The nurse came in and there was a thorough check.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was one when we were born, but it seemed to go on forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. They checked everything. They checked his balls. They checked they're checking all his organs. They checked his heart rate. They checked his skin for rash, and they checked his eyes. And they went to town on these checks.
Yeah.
It made me think, like, did they check for something like that when he was born, or is it like at a 12-month marker? But regardless, I think those sort of checks are great. And also, if this is what I'm trying to come back to, if these things have an effect on infertility, we need to know about them from an early age.
Yeah, of course.
Because then we might be able to do something about it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to learn more about undescended testicles, because I don't know enough about it.
I wish I could give you a lot more information on undescended testicles. I think for a lot of it, for myself, is kind of having to do the research and having to look as well and be like, okay, right, what's, like you say, you clearly asked, what are the stats around undescended testicles? Does it affect a certain ethnic group more than the others? Yeah, so I need to look into that myself, actually.
You're probably going to go out of here and be like Googling all sorts. This is why we need George here, because George is like basically Jamie off Joe Rogan. He'll be like Googling stuff as we're asking him for stats. George, you've been missed today. You won't watch this back anyway. It's too busy. Mate, so I want to touch upon the kind of next step of this, which was investigation. You did touch upon it.
Yeah.
Which was, when you were 11 and when you were a child, but when you got into this, really, when your life pivoted from, going down the acting route and now going into the fertility space, there's obviously been a pivotal point there. And I assume there was an investigation. And I'd like you to just know, like, how that investigation looked. Was it the NHS first? Did you go private? And kind of what was that journey like for you there?
Yeah, so it started obviously back in 2020 when I was with my ex, she's now my ex-partner now. But we were obviously trying to have a baby, and it just didn't work for us. And we were together we were friends actually for about 10 years, but together for officially about 3 years.
Okay.
but it was just, and we're having unprotected sex from the beginning of our relationships. So, there was a point where we were like, okay, right, what's going on here? Like, nothing really kind of working at the moment. But me being as naive as I was at the time, I was, these things take time. Let's just wait. It will happen. But I think she kind of pushed it a bit more than me. And I remember she went and got herself checked. Actually, we paid for a private gynecologist.
Okay.
And it was just that poignant moment. Speaking to the gynecologist, said, "Look, her body's moving perfectly fine. I think you've got a problem." Remember her, the gynecologist pointing at me,
physically,
I think you need to.
Wow.
You need to get yourself checked. I remember being like, "Wow,
that's strong."
Yeah, I'm like, okay, wow, okay, yeah, sure. But it took me ages to go and get myself checked, because I was like, you know what, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Let's just wait. Let's just take time. It will happen.
Yeah.
But then it kind of got to a point where, okay, right, let me just do it, because my ex-partner was in my ear, and then that's when begun the conversations with the doctor. And I remember calling the doctor actually and saying, I need to gonna have an appointment to see you. Me and my partner are trying to have a baby. It hasn't worked, and so blah blah blah. And then he was like, okay, yeah, come in. And then when I went in to see him, he kind of just he looked at my records, and when he saw I had undescended testicles, and then he just told me to lay on the bed, and then done an invasive examination of my body. He told me it was just weird. He told me just to get naked, basically.
Yeah, it's odd the first time.
Yeah. I was like, well, okay.
Just get your knackers out, and then just fiddling around. It's unusual.
Very. But to be fair, and my doctor was a female as well. It wasn't a male. So it was a female. So I'm like thinking, oh my God, this is just so embarrassing. Like, wow. And then she's like, you know what? You need to, good luck. She said, good luck.
What?
Yeah.
Just that?
After saying, I'm going to refer you to a urologist.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, great. And she's like, yeah, so good luck. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, good luck with the urologist, or just good luck in.
Just good luck, but I felt as if that good luck was a bit like cold.
Good luck.
Yeah, but
just
cold, bit cold.
Okay.
Maybe even still now, I might be overthinking a little bit, but I just felt like it was a bit cold, like as if good luck.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but then that's when it begun. The journey of having to do like a semen analysis. And you remember, it was just after COVID, so everyone's kind of social distancing as well.
Yeah.
Still, and remember, there's loads of guys in the hospital, and everyone's got their head down. No one's looking at each other, because we all know what we're here for.
All that to do the same thing.
Yeah, everyone's going for different times and stuff. It was kind of it's a little bit intense, because I'm looking in my head like, wow, I'm about to have to go and go and release and in a hospital. I remember being told that there's a magazine, there's Wi-Fi. Go ahead, go and do what you got to. There's the room. There's the chair. And I'm thinking, oh my freaking.
I'd hate to think how many people touch them magazines. They should be laminated.
Yeah, literally.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but it was just pretty, being in that room the first time and being in there for about half an hour, because I just couldn't do it. I just physically just could not do it. And I remember the nurse knocking on the door, and she's like, "Are you okay in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just coming."
But, no pun intended.
No pun intended.
Also, the knock at, "Oh, are you okay in there?" is definitely going to help.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to get me to get out of this room quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember leaving the room. I remember actually doing it, but because I had nothing came out, and they had given me like a little bottle, and you have to put it. So you put it into like in the room. They've just got this little latch thing, and you put it in there. I remember just putting it in there, and then I came out, and obviously they had pulled it out, and she's like, "Oh, there was nothing in there." I'm like, "I know," and she's like, "You're gonna have to come back to do it." I was like, "Okay, no problem." I can attempt. But even then, there was no real information. I wasn't given nothing to say, look, this is what maybe you should do certain things to kind of help to do blah blah blah. So I had to. Well, my ex-girlfriend, she kind of done all the research around that. So she was like, after she's like, you shouldn't shower. I reading you shouldn't shower. You shouldn't have hot baths. You shouldn't wear tight boxers. And so I'll be walking around with just like loose boxers or not wearing tight clothing and all that sort of stuff, and trying to eat my fruits and taking these like vitamins and taking supplements, and nothing actually helped. Nothing worked. And yeah, so then I had to kind of just go for more tests, basically. Yeah. Just do like I said, I've done an ultrasound on the testicles. They checked my prostate. And then before that, I put a small camera through my penis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's it was just literally like come in, they numbed the area. They said the nurse is going to hold your hand.
Did it feel it? Could you still feel it?
Oh my days. It was bloody, it was more so uncomfortable than anything.
Ooh.
So it was kind of like,
ouch.
Yeah, I had to just sit there, and then the guy was like, okay, yep, just take a deep breath. Nurse is going to hold your hand. I was going to go in. I was like, oh my God.
Nurse is going to hold your hand. Oh, it'll be fine. Yeah. Just give me your hand. Everything will be sweet.
Honestly. And it just went, and then he went, and then I can see it on the screen, him going in. I'm like, fucking heck. Hurry up, please. But that's what I was thinking in my mind.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, there's no blockages.
Okay.
No stuff obstructing the area. And I had to kind of just basically weed. I couldn't, because there was a lot of blood, I had to first drink lots of water to get the blood out, and then they'll let me go home. So then that was intense. That was a bit intense. Having to walk out like oh God.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I said, the feeling uncomfortable will go after a couple of hours, so that would be fine. That was fine.
So was there anything that actually really you knew about the undescended testicles?
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you found in the investigations that were kind of contributing factors to your infertility?
I guess the more the testicles with the ultrasound, like I explained earlier on, is about just the testicles being a bit smaller than the average male.
Okay.
Actually, way smaller, and having these little dots. But they didn't really explain a lot around that. They just said, look, your testicles are a bit smaller than the average male, but that shouldn't really have a problem as well. I'm thinking, okay, well, if it's smaller than the average male, of course it's going to cause a bit of an issue, right? So those are the only kind of issues. That was the only real issue. Apart from undescended testicles, that was the only other issue. Nothing else kind of came up as well. Nothing else. There was no any other illnesses that,
This seems like a running theme, because whether it's male fertility, female infertility, for example, when we had our first NHS results, which was just blood tests for Eleanor and semen analysis for me, they came back and said, everything looks all right. Jacky, you've got a slightly low result, but you only need one sperm, so don't worry about it. It's like, yes, something doesn't look quite right, but nothing that's like of concern.
Yeah.
And when we deep dived, there was something of concern. I had really high DNA frag, and I also DNA fragmentation, for people who don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It's like the DNA strands snapping. And I also had a varicocele which needed to be embolized on one side, which was contributing to the heat, which contributed to the DNA frag. The NHS. And I'm not slating the NHS, but what I'm saying is this happened on the NHS. They looked at the results, and basically they look at averages, and they look at like the minimums, and it was like nothing to be too worried about. And it sounds like you had a very similar situation where they've said, yes, you've got like slightly smaller and there's little lumps, but like it's nothing to like really worry about.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a blanket thing I hear quite a lot.
Of course. Yeah. And even hearing from you there, it's like you having to do your own, research, or having to push things further, go private to go and find out more about what the real cause is.
Because we want answers, right?
Absolutely.
And when you kind of settle for an NHS diagnosis, if we just settled for that and we were told the same day that we had unexplained infertility and your next route would probably be IVF, that was it. It was like, you've got unexplained infertility, IVF's the next route. We weren't eligible for any rounds on the on the NHS because of our area and because of Eleanor's age. She was 35, I think, at the time. So we were just written off. So it was straight down the private route for us.
wow.
So it was a big thing for us to just dive into a round of IVF with no other investigation.
Yeah.
And no other things were mentioned. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that. I've talked about that ad nauseum. Today, I want to talk about you.
No, it's fine.
You touched upon there that it's your ex now. So I'd like to maybe, because I think this is a really important thing to talk about, is that these situations can either make or break relationships.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with yourself, that didn't go the way that you thought it would go. But I also want to talk about this. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up.
No, of course.
Because this is also something that happens quite regularly. And obviously when it happens, people don't talk about it openly because it's painful. However, you've been a voice in this kind of arena, and you're speaking up about your experience, especially when it comes to how it broke your relationship up and how you've gone in different paths. So how did that come about, and what was the main deciding factors around kind of you guys going your separate ways? And was it linked to the infertility side of things, or was it a little bit more?
I think, there's, I don't want to dive too deep into certain personal things, but I think there's a lot of, we just dealt with things differently, and we lacked communication on both sides. I'm not necessarily going to blame her, even for myself as well. I didn't really express myself. I didn't express how I was feeling, and I was more concerned about her and her well-being more so than my own well-being. I became very ill. I put on a lot of weight. I developed a thyroid problem. I was stressed.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I was on medication.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so it was just kind of very much, and also, like I said, we just didn't communicate. I was still in the sense that, yeah, look, for example, we had to talk about sperm donor. We had to talk about, and those are difficult conversations to have, saying, look, if it doesn't work, what we're going to do? We've got to find a sperm donor. And because we're both, we're in a black relationship, finding this black sperm donor when we researched in the UK was kind of like a bit of a struggle. So we had, had to kind of look elsewhere, like in America. And they're like, okay, right, so how do we get to America? How much we have to pay to do that privately and that sort of stuff. And, my ex, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, but she didn't really want to do, she was quite conscious about doing IVF, like medically. She didn't want to do all the whole injections and stuff like that. She just didn't feel like it was right for her body, especially with the fact that her body was working normal. Her body was normal.
Okay.
So she was kind of concerned, like having to put injections in her body and stuff like that. But I said, look, we can try to do it naturally, but then it's kind of like we have to kind of work it around your ovulation. And then, first for me to go and get the sperm, and then it's like us doing it like a turkey basting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we kind of were at loggerheads around that as well. And then, it was a real strain on our relationship. I was struggling at work. And it just kind of made us, very distant. And we didn't really talk about it, talk about how we're feeling. Like I said, there was a moment, one time after I had a semen analysis. And sorry, after I had my operation, because I had an operation, they had to do a deep dive operation on me again. So they went in, they put me to sleep and went further in to kind of see if there's any problems. They want to just double check they haven't missed anything.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember after having that operation, I was on a catheter for about 2 weeks, and then having to that was kind of like horrible because she had a child from a previous relationship. We didn't want to overexpose her to that, so I kind of moved back in with my parents.
Right.
And then it kind of like we're a bit distant with each other in that period. Hardly spoke, hardly saw her. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're both struggling to deal with this, separately. When we're not really talking. I remember actually after the final, after I took out the catheter, they said to me, can you wait about another 3 weeks and then try to masturbate and see if there's any sperm that comes out. Yeah. So I was like, I done that. And I remember they told me they booked an appointment and they told me to come in because you have to go within an hour. You have to take the sperm back within an hour to the hospital because that's doing because it's warm, and so forth. So I done the whole thing. I remember nothing came out, and I remember there was she had like a bar of soap, and I was just so tempted to mix the bar of soap with the water and put it into the thing and be like, oh,
just so you didn't have to,
just so I didn't have to deal with,
and
I thought to myself, this isn't healthy if I have to think like that. And then having to come out and then I see her face and, she's like, is there anything? I'm like, the real disappointment in her face. Yeah. And then we were quiet. And I remember driving to the hospital to kind of give them an empty container. And it's like, we was quiet the whole way through. Didn't speak. And then at night, I remember we had dinner, we had put our daughter to sleep, and we were watching a movie. Then she just got up and she left and went to the bathroom. And then locked herself in the bathroom. But I was like, she's gone for quite a long time. But then she run the bath, so she run the shower and started crying. But I could hear her. So and I was like, oh God. Then she was saying stuff like, she wishes she got a good guy here. He's a great guy. He's fantastic with my daughter and blah blah blah. And why is this happening to us? Why can't we just have our own child, etc., etc. I remember being just listening to her saying all this stuff. And I just kind of feeling wow, damn, yeah, this is really challenging for both of us. And then once she came out of that room, once she came out of the bathroom, we literally went to bed. We didn't say a word.
Didn't talk?
Not one bit.
Wow.
I remember waking up the next day as if nothing happened.
Oh, really?
As if nothing happened.
Was that suppressing it or trying to ignore it?
Both of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Try and ignore it.
Yeah.
And even for myself thinking, okay, right, even just going on, so she'll work, cause she was working and she'll wake up early and go to work, and then I'll be I'm into the bed just because I'm working from home as well. So I'll be just looking on my phone to be okay, well, what can I do? Who can I contact? Basically I was just typing in how can I get sperm? And I'm thinking, this is just crazy. We're not even talking about it. And things just became very distant between us. We just thought, you know what? We can't carry on like this. We have to kind of call it quits. I mean, she wanted a child. And I was ready in the headspace of well, I'm going through a lot of things already physically. Physically, I'm going through a lot. Mentally, I'm going through a lot. Emotionally, I'm going through a lot. I just need time for myself as well. So kind of and then we broke up. When we broke up, we broke up before I was going for the micro-TZ. So, and I remember seeing fantastic Pippa Sangstar at UCLH, and she was fantastic. So I remember seeing her, and then she'd be like, I said to her, look, me and my partner have broken up. And then she's like, well, you've got a decision to make. It's either you go ahead and you go and do this micro-TZ to find out or to see if we can retrieve the sperm naturally from the testicles, or you just you leave it, and then when you find somebody else, you just go straight to IVF. So I just said, she goes, I'm giving you a couple of weeks, come back to me. And I remember I sat with my family, I spoke with my family, done a lot of thinking, and I was like, you know what, I think it's the best for me to kind of do this for myself, not for anybody else, just for myself. So I'm glad I made that decision to kind of go ahead and do the micro-TZ.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went ahead and done the micro-TZ.
Right.
And they managed to retrieve sperm, actually. She managed to retrieve, yeah.
Oh, really? And what was the results from that?
It's now saved at UCLH.
Okay.
So now I can use that for IVF in the future when I find somebody.
Oh, so you've froze it?
Mm.
I didn't know that's where you were going with that. I thought that was just to try and extract to see if there was any quality
Yeah, no,
Sperm.
just
So you've got them there, like almost like when women do egg preservation.
absolutely.
So it's exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, frozen my sperm. So,
Got them in the bank, mate.
yeah,
On standby.
yeah. But I done that just for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And I wasn't gonna. I was very much doubting myself around during that period whether I should do this or not. Right?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Like, but actually now I think about it, it is. I'm grateful I've done that because, you know, when I eventually meet somebody, and even sometimes I think even if I don't meet somebody, you know, I might go and find a lady and do surrogates, and she, you know, and have a child for myself. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know the challenges of doing. I think for myself, one thing I've learned is that I haven't even. That's just a small part of my journey. I haven't even started to do the IVF journey,
Yeah.
and that's got its own challenges. So it's kind of like I had to kind of, you know, think to myself, that relationship wasn't for me at that time. It opened up a number of doors for me in this space, but it wasn't for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Completely.
It opened me up, but it just it wasn't for me. And she was not saying she's a bad person, no. It's just the fact that we dealt with things very differently.
Yeah.
And even for myself, I've had to grow. I've had to kind of man up as well and really express myself. That's why I'm able to kind of talk about my journey. Because I wasn't really, before I wouldn't really want to talk about it. But now I've kind of like, you know what, I need to help, or if there's only one person that's listening and watching and they're learning something, then great, I've done my job.
Yeah, no, mate. I mean, listen, I connected through your page and saw that you'd been talking about this openly for some time now. And then we got on a call, you were telling me about the stuff you're doing with TFL and all these amazing things. You've definitely helped people. Or I didn't even know, I've only known you for a few weeks. I know for a fact, even me, listening to your story makes me feel less alone on what I went through.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the feelings you were describing there about how you were feeling, and also like going to bed and getting up the next day and like pretending nothing happened.
Yeah.
I did all that as well.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to explain, and you don't want to talk to them about it because they're going through it. You don't want to talk to your mate about it because you're talking. For us, it was either the pressure of sex or it was like another period's coming. It's like, I don't want to talk to my mates about that. Like there's this weird. It's still kind of taboo, but more people like you talking about this is really important.
And do you know what the thing you touched on there a minute ago? Sorry, was sex as well.
Yeah.
I think that also impacted our relationship as well. The sex, because we weren't actually. And it sounds crazy, but we weren't actually having sex to enjoy sex. We're having sex just for the sake of like, okay, right. Like, you know,
It was a job.
It was a job, in the morning. Like, you know, simple. Look, is it going to work? And every single time, you know, every month she was on a period, it was a reminder she's not pregnant. So that hurt her. So then it's like, damn.
Yeah.
So imagine her hormone levels, her emotion levels are all over the place because she's on a period.
Yeah.
And then that was a reminder that she's not pregnant. So that will affect our relationship. And I'm like, well, what can I do? Like, I'm trying. Like, and yeah, like I said, the sex was just ruined because there was no emotional, there was no real intimacy.
It's impossible to be intimate when you've got an app saying you have to have sex between 4 and 9 this evening.
Yeah.
And you're like, this has got to be on point. The ovulation was this. The ovulation stick said that.
Yep.
And if we don't do it this time, we're going to miss another month. And like you say, the period comes and then you feel disappointed. They feel disappointed.
Yeah.
And it's like a death by 1,000 cuts because every single month that goes past is like a little chip away at the relationship, at the intimacy. All that stuff just gets chipped away slowly until either you really stick together or, you know, it falls apart. And this is why I wanted to ask you about that because we don't hear enough about those stories, but it's very common. I have friends, I'm never going to mention their names, who've been through a very similar situation to you, but been through IVF, and the IVF has not worked, and it just broke up. Because it's just become too much. Yeah. It's all consuming. Sorry, we could talk about this for hours, but I know you've got to go today because you've also got a talk at the Black and Brown show, which I'm really looking forward to. I want to touch upon something you mentioned in our call, which was the cultural aspect. So I believe you've got, how many siblings have you got?
7.
7 siblings. Are you a twin as well? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So you're a twin?
Yeah, I'm a twin, and I've got your older brother.
Yeah.
Older sister, twin.
Get this right.
Twin. Then two younger sisters and one younger brother.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
One thing you went through with me on the call was kind of the cultural aspect and the expectation from a family who have lots of kids, and there's an expectation for men to go and then they have more kids. And that's something that I wanted to talk about because obviously it's different to my background.
Yeah.
But you made a point on the call of saying like there's also kind of cultural pressure there. You know, there's an expectation for me to go on and be a father to many kids.
Yeah.
How's that affected you? And has it affected like relationships with your family or your parents? Or like how's that been for you?
Yeah, I think culturally you have that, you know, there's a real expectation. Okay, whenever people saw me, they said, "Oh, right, you've got seven siblings. Oh, you're bound to have loads of kids." And even just the fact that my ex-girlfriend at the time, she was a twin herself. So I'm a twin. She's a twin.
Right.
So people naturally thought, "Oh, my days, you guys are gonna have twins."
Yeah.
So there was always pressure for me in terms of be like, wow, twin heaven, basically.
Yeah.
And also seeing the fact that I've got a big family is like, well, I want that as well.
Of course.
So you're putting pressure on yourself. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say my parents would put me under pressure. Like, to be fair, okay, people back home in Uganda, you know, people ask, you know, "Oh, so you got a girlfriend when you're having kids? When are you going to get married?" And you're like, okay, yeah. Everyone just calm down. Like, please wait. It's gonna happen. Not yet, though. So there was real expectation that, okay, right, now you've got a girlfriend, now you're gonna have kids, and then you're gonna get married, and blah 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 blah, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, the pressures were there in that sense, but no one really necessarily said, "You've got to get married now. You've got to do that." It's also sometimes even from my mind thinking, my mum had 11 siblings.
11.
Yeah, she's only got only one of her sisters are left, and my dad's got loads of brothers and sisters as well. So it's like, wow, my grandparents had more than 20 kids and stuff like that. So it's like, where did I go wrong? Where's my sperm to have this as well? So yeah, and also I think affected my luckily, because I think even now people are having kids a bit older. So
Naturally haven't. Yeah, of course.
So obviously my parents had like, you know, five kids at the age of 25, and I'm 36 and I've got 0. So it's very much like, you know, as we're getting older, it's like, okay, right, the pressure's a little bit less because, you know, yes, my cousins are having kids now, and my sister's got kids and my brother's got 5 kids and stuff like that. So, but they're having the kids a bit older, so it's kind of like, okay, all right. So it's okay for me to kind of wait a bit longer to then have kids. So yeah, that the societal pressure, and also going back to Uganda, I went to visit Uganda and talk about fertility, and it's still a hush, it's still a taboo. You know, they don't really talk about it. It's a lot of women that go to these appointments and they speak about their partner potentially having problems, but the partners don't really want to go to the appointments.
Right.
Because they're thinking, no, it's just a female problem. Like, men, we don't have fertility problems. But I'm thinking, yes, they do. And it's like, now a lot of women are doing unnecessary procedures to their bodies because a man's not really talking about their own journey. So I thought to myself, you know what? I've got to go back to Uganda and try to like to help other men to be like, look, you need to get yourself checked, and it's not just a female problem. Also to make the females feel less isolated it's already a big thing, you know, if a woman can't have kids naturally. But adding on to the fact that it could be a male issue, it's just different. So that's why I'm kind of speaking more about it, you know, in Uganda, and also trying to get the black and brown community to kind of accept certain things. Like, you know, not everyone will have kids naturally, and not everyone's kind of, I say, destined to have kids. And some people do have like fertility problems, and it's actually okay, but you have to accept it. Yeah, so culturally it's been very difficult, and also just because culturally, like, we're putting a lot of like, Africans are putting a lot of faith into it as well. So there's a lot of like, you know,
in God.
Yeah, we're gonna pray about it. We're gonna go to church. Let's pray.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, God's gonna have you, and you know, that sort of stuff. So yeah, we always kind of put at the forefront. But sometimes I feel like, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, we can pray about it, but I feel like maybe this is God's way of saying, you look, you're going to give back to your community in a different way, than from the way you kind of expected yourself to kind of go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like the cultural part of going through a fertility journey.
Yeah, I think it was something I wanted to talk about because you sounded quite passionate about that when we did our call, and I've also had conversations with other lads. Again, I've been trying to really dial in on the male fertility side, especially when we're doing a lot of discovery calls at the moment and trying to find out how to build Illuma to be kind of the best app it can be.
Yeah.
And I've heard this before. I've heard this from the black community, which is our family are praying for us, or my brother's praying for me, and the societal pressure from grandparents asking them, and not even like you were saying, people, family aren't like pointing and going, "You need to have kids." Yeah. It's almost like everyone around us is having like loads of children, and then we're not able to. Yeah. And it's like a subconscious pressure.
Of course.
It's not like pointing. It's like you feel it.
You feel it, yeah.
And that's what I've got from speaking to some of the lads. So that's why I wanted to touch on it. But anyway, back to you mentioned Uganda. I don't think I knew about that. But what I do know, which is amazing by the way, but what I do know is about your work with TFL.
Yeah.
There's also a few other things, but I want to talk about now what you do, how you've turned this negative situation, which has obviously, taken a lot of work to get through, and you've spun that into something really positive to help people. And I want to talk about now what it is that you're doing now to kind of feed that message back to men and to kind of spread the word about male infertility and, try and make that less of a taboo subject. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I like to kind of I gave like talks around my fertility journey. I work for Transport for London, so I like to kind of do like it's called awareness hour, basically, where I talk about my journey, everything that I went through, and how it affected me mentally, how it affected my friends, my family, my relationship, that sort of stuff, and just spread awareness, and it really opens people's eyes up. To be fair, a lot of guys are very much like, when I talk about the camera being put down me, everyone's like, oh God, oh my days.
I had the same reaction. I was like, oh, and I've had stuff going on down there, but I've never had a camera.
Yeah.
So that was my initial reaction.
Of course.
Oh!
Yeah. And that's like, everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys are really listening intently, but also a lot of women are so grateful. I think a lot of women come up to me at the end and say, look, thank you so much for talking about your journey.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because it's great to hear a man speak about his fertility journey and to be as vulnerable as you are. To really open up people's eyes and ears to certain things and get yourself checked. Yeah. One of the good, like I said, speaking about my journey allows men to open up around their health in general, and it could be like whether sexual health, whatever. Like for example, prostate. I get my prostate checked every year now because I think it's 1 in 4. Oh no, so 1 in 7 or 1. Something around, basically, prostate affects a lot of black and Asian men, especially black men, and they can, after the age of 40, so we're the highest on getting prostate cancer. So I think it's important for me to kind of say that when I'm talking about my journey, to say, look, I get my prostate checked, and I think anyone over the age of 40, a black man, especially black men, should get your prostate checked, do a PCA test. You can just request it from the doctor, and you can get it done.
Okay.
So those are the sort of things that's kind of allowed me to kind of speak about my journey, and also open up conversations around fertility. Amongst men, women, it's easier for them to talk about their journey, and then talk about their general health and in general. But for men to kind of talk about fertility
or anything,
yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough, and the only times you really kind of do it, you kind of relate around sports. We can easily talk about sports, but why can't we talk about our health? Our fertility health. So I've kind of like, I think, it's only launched like this week, but I've set up like I'm working with a lady called Kelly Powell Williams, and she works up in Nottingham, and she works in urology, and we've set up a group called Real Talk Male Fertility Unfiltered, and it's just it's a support network group for black and brown men to join. And to kind of to talk about our experiences with fertility in a safe space.
Amazing.
And just to open up, like I said, open up conversations around that. You know, I've met other guys. You know, there's the guys at Nexus, Kieran and Sean.
Oh yeah.
I've test him. So I've kind of had these conversations around fertility with other people. But I was like, you know what? Why is it? Let me create a space for black men. Sometimes we need that separate. I'm not saying we all should come together. Yes, we can all come together. But I feel like maybe it might be easier for a black man to talk to another black man around fertility. So creating that group kind of allows everyone to kind of be a bit more open and honest to each other. And I'm not saying it's not even just inclusively for black and brown men. No, it's other guys can come in as well and learn certain things, because let's be honest, there's, you know, we're in a world where people are dating within different cultures and stuff like that. So it's important for people to be aware of certain things that people may be going through. That's why I've set up this group with Kelly.
Amazing. Is that active now? Can people find it?
Yeah, it's active now.
Want to just tell everyone where you can find that?
So it's called Real Talk Male Fertility Unfiltered. We've got a Facebook group. I'll send you the QR code.
Yeah, I'll put it all in the description as well.
Yeah, so people can just click and join the group.
Amazing.
I just want people just to feel like, you know, let's just get a conversation going. And also, I done like I was doing, had an idea. I decided to write a children's book.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to kind of, you know, the reason why I say it's to heal me, it's to heal that little boy that had like you're asking him at the beginning, you know,
of course,
what dreams did you have before doing this journey?
Yeah.
It's just to heal me, to tell me like, okay, right, that little boy that wanted to be an actor, and you know, but life kind of took him on a different path. I wanted to, and the stories about, you know, it's called My Heart Has Wings, and it's just kind of talking about, you know, people go through different things in life, and people might, you know, there's adoption, there's all sorts of stuff, but we're all one. So I've started to kind of write that as well.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so
well, when your book is released, we can come back on and we can do another episode.
So those are things I'm doing, but the main thing is just, you know, doing advocacy work is just more speaking events.
Yeah, and
really, really trying to empower men to kind of talk about their fertility.
Well, speaking of which, you've got to go because you've got to talk today, which I'm really looking forward to at the Black and Brown Show. But mate, listen, I want to say thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
To start with, for connecting a few weeks ago. I had a really good conversation with you, and I knew I wanted to do this on a public platform or like on the podcast, because the reason that you're doing what you're doing, we need to speak more about this, especially the male side. I know Eleanor would have liked to be here today, but she couldn't make it. But it kind of gives it a bit more power, because I really do want to focus on the male voice, letting lads know it's okay to talk about, and like not even publicly. I'm not expecting loads of lads to come and message me and go, I want to be on the podcast, but just to be able to talk to their other half about it. Absolutely. To be open to the tests. Lads, we don't have to do much. I know you know, the camera down there is a little bit of a stretch, but you know, most of our tests that we do as men can be done with a simple test, right? So it's not, you know, a lot of the start investigation isn't invasive. So just letting men be a bit more open to the investigation side of things, because like you just said there about women who are coming up to you and saying thank you, they're doing that because they want the other half to see that and go, oh, actually it is also my responsibility. Yeah. So keep banging that drum, mate. I'll do the same. Best of luck. Where can people find you on social media or wherever you want? Websites, anything? Yeah, so the main one I use is actually my Instagram page. Yep. So they can find me on Jacky Kluwagga. It's pretty JKLUWAGGA. I'll put it in the description as well. They can find me there, and just we can just connect from there, and also the Facebook group as well. So those are the main places that I'll be on. Amazing. Well, mate, thanks again for coming down, and good luck. I'll see you in a few hours anyway for your talk. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. All good. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.